One, two, three. So anyway, Melanie, that's why I don't trust horses. It's
I
a
mean,
funny story.
if you can't look them in the eye, you
Wow.
shouldn't trust them.
Well, you got to move around, right?
Move
Because they're
their
like
head.
hammerhead sharks, right?
Yeah.
Anywho, Melanie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. I do feel super duper like Superman. I'm talking to you, Melanie Gall, about your show upcoming at the Fringe, right? It is called A Toast to Prohibition. Is that correct?
Yes, that is what it's called. Yep.
Okay. So, and it is a musical, or is it a little mix of both musical and drama or comedy?
Well, I hope I'm funny. The problem is when someone's like, "My show is hilarious," then people go in and they're like, "But is it though?" So I'm not going to say it's not a comedy show.
Yeah.
It's basically a cabaret with a loose plot around it to present lost songs about prohibition. So these are
Oh,
except for one because you always need a song people know.
that's
Except for that, all the other songs are tunes that people don't know. These are songs written mostly to sell sheet music back in the early 1920s to late
cool.
1920s.
Yeah.
And they're just these songs that describe different aspects of American Prohibition, and no one's heard them since then, for the
Oh,
most
that's
part.
very cool.
So,
How did you get your hands on them?
I mean, got my ways. Okay,
Okay,
no,
okay,
no, no. Okay,
nefarious
I'll tell you.
reasons. No, that's cool. People steal stuff all the time. Like I stole I stole my friend's soul. I keep it in a jar on my desk. And for
Well,
the people at home, you are actually hearing a real life sparrow, a beautiful little bird. You are not going crazy.
sorry, she's being kind of loud. I
That's
have a pet
okay.
sparrow. Like it just gets weirder and weirder. So the way I found these songs is I was doing a show featuring World War I lost songs about knitting, as you do, as you do. And I found a Prohibition song while I was searching for this, and I was like, I wonder if there are more. There are more. So, once you start looking, there are different, some of them that are in the public domain. There
Yeah.
are databases scanned from Johns Hopkins, from all these major American from the University of, I think, Michigan. So there's
Mhm.
all these. Before COVID, I did, whenever I went around the world, I would stop in the British Museum and do research and this and that, or just I go around the world gathering music, basically.
Very cool. And are these all like beer hall shanty type songs, or are they,
Um,
the Irish love songs? Or is there a diverse cacophony of them, or are they all just swinging around, screaming, getting drunk?
there's songs that describe aspects of prohibition. So, like, one
Okay.
song is about how doctors could prescribe you alcohol. So, basically, it tells the story about how you could go to a doctor and say, oh man, my arm hurts. I could really use some whiskey. That they were allowed to prescribe a pint of whiskey or brandy or gin every 10 days. So, and when Churchill came to America,
Yeah.
on a diplomatic trip during Prohibition, he needed to get a prescription for his alcohol because that man was a drinker. So, one of the songs is
Ah.
about that. Another is called Where Do You Go When You Row, Row, Row? It's like a kid song, but it's about how you could row 3 miles offshore to Canada or down to Atlantic City into international waters and buy your booze there. So they're
Oh.
all just these weird, so weird. It's like they're catchy songs, but like these weird little prohibition stories that just people don't know. And
Oh,
I'm
neat.
hoping, soon you'll know it. Come to my show.
Are they from certain parts of the world? Are they from mostly the United States, I would assume?
United States and Canada because it's
Yeah, okay.
American Prohibition, but we provided their alcohol. So
Ah,
we did a lot, a lot.
that's the rum running across the border type stuff.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
So many different ways. Yeah. So it's all about the rum running from Canada. So it's Canada and America for these songs. There's one British song
Okay.
because this American guy went over to, he was called. It's early in the morning.
That's a weird name. Is that
Yeah.
is that Etruscan? No, that's Azerbaijani, isn't it?
Something like that. So
Yeah.
they called him Pussyfoot Johnson, and he was this guy, and he went over to Britain to try to impose prohibition, and they're like, the British bulldog says no. So it's all about like the cat versus the dog. It's a big old metaphor that I then have to explain. But yeah, they're mostly American songs, and they're weird and fun. And for these sort of shows, it's cheaper to get the props on eBay than to make new props. So I have all these antiques that I'm gonna probably be destroying in the next 2 years as I tour the show. Um,
That's awesome. And you guys it's in La Cité, is that correct?
It is, yes. I'm so happy to be part of the Fringe. I didn't think I would be this year. So I'm in Cité.
And that's a beautiful place. Are there any French songs?
For once there isn't, because usually there
Quelle
are.
surprise!
I Je m'excuse. I mean, Americans didn't really talk all that much French during Prohibition.
That's
I mean,
true.
there are some great smarmy songs about, how do you go back to the farm after you've seen Paris for
Mhm.
after World War One that are all about like the women of Paris, but not in this. That'll be the next show.
Gotcha.
Um,
And you wrote this, is that correct? You
I
and
did. I did.
okay.
It was my big idea. My big idea was like, I do these jukebox shows about old music, and I was like, okay, they tend to get an older audience, which is great, which
It's
is
cool
really like
beans.
they're
Yeah.
mostly family friendly ish.
Yeah.
Like I'd say PG-13, and I was like, it'll be fine. I want a show where basically, my mom's in the other room, and this is going in the internet, but basically, I want a show where like young people will throw me their panties.
There's a panty shortage in Edmonton right now, so that
Oh
might
my,
not
is there
happen.
really?
There's a panty drought.
Oh dear.
That's a terrible joke.
Um,
Continue.
anyway, so I mean, to be not to be smarmy about it, but like
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to show where I would get in my regular core audience, but also people maybe a little bit younger also. So
Yeah.
this is why I forget the question now. I'm just thinking about panties.
No, the question was who wrote it, and it was going to lead into
Oh,
my
me.
next question. How much of yourself is in this? And obviously, there's a lot in this.
I mean, I'm playing a character
Yeah.
because so many of the shows I do is me talking and singing, and it is nice sometimes to not do that. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's a character, but it's all like it's me. Like, it's me.
And you're up there with, have you, like you've cast the show, did you cast from Friends? Did you hold auditions? Did you have people in mind for different characters?
Oh no, it's just me.
Just you, but like
I
for
mean-
yourself, like, did you ever think like maybe somebody else, no, I can do it? Or did you ever think about making?
I mean, it's one character, so it's just me. It's not like
Yeah.
I'm being different people, and then I'm a dog, and then I'm a
Oh,
goose.
okay.
So like, it's
Dog, and then I'm invisible.
yeah,
and nothing
people do
happens.
that, and I'm not that good an actor. Like,
Gotcha.
I'm a classical singer who now does this, so I'm not. Yeah, that's not. I mean, I could pretend to be a post, but I'd probably fall over. But to go back to your last question,
Yes.
I wrote this to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Prohibition, which was, of course, in 2020.
Oh my gosh.
So at first I thought I'd get younger people in. Second, I was like, I'm gonna get so much press because I'm gonna do this like massive 8-month tour of the show across America, and yeah, so that's why I wrote the show. To be honest, it was also a timing thing. I had thought about it for a while, and I was like, this is gonna be my year. Anyway, so it's 2021.
But what happened then?
I'm just
Yeah.
life got in the way.
Yeah, and mass diseases and stuff like that, like pandemic and stuff like that. I've heard.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't left my house.
I should have done a show about the songs of the 1918 flu. Like, honestly,
Exactly.
if I had been like looking forward, this would be an influenza pandemic.
I didn't know there were so many rhymes for vomit.
Right? But I mean, I just think that like no one wants. There are some great stories about the 1918 pandemic, but I think we're all done. Like, I don't think no one's gonna throw their panties at me for that.
They are. It's for the wrong reasons. Now, this sounds like it is a little bit for everybody, which sounds fun. And I heard the Cité is going above and beyond when it comes to safety, public safety, and whatnot. Are you looking forward to a more intimate crowd? Is that something that it will allow you a bit more breadth of expression? Is that something?
To be honest, it's capacity 100, and the last 3 times I was at Edmonton Fringe, I was at the Yardbird, which is capacity 99.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, to be honest, I have more capacity here than I
one more. Awesome.
So I mean, yes, in other festivals, it's often 300 people or 400 people, but Edmonton, I seem to like lose that lottery of venues quite often and get the smaller ones. So it's easy to sell out, but also I really, it doesn't change much in terms of capacity for me here.
Yeah.
So I am really appreciating the safety protocols because I basically haven't left the house. I mean, I've gone to help my sister. Haven't left her house or my house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I'm staying here with my mom during the pandemic, and she's coming to sell my merch if we're allowed. And I just don't want people. I don't want her to get COVID either.
Just make her a glass barrier, and she can just toss it over like basketball.
Yeah. Like, here, buy merch. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's great. Classically trained singer. It sounds like you've got experience at the wazoo. You said you were in New York. You said you've been to several other places.
Yep.
What is Edmonton? Is there an Edmonton crowd? Like, does that exist, or are crowds receptive or not, and that's it?
Okay, there's an Edmonton Fringe crowd for sure.
Okay, yeah,
I mean, to be honest, I do occasional gigs here. Like I'm doing a concert with the Edmonton Pops actually in St. Albert this weekend. I
very
mean,
cool.
I do things here. I just primarily I'm on tour. So
Gotcha.
apart from the Fringe here, I don't know that there's a dedicated audience for me because I most of what I do here is at the Fringe. And also sometimes I go to Edinburgh because they cross over. So some years I do that, some years I do Edmonton. But there's definitely a crowd here. I mean, people this is to say I see a lot of the same people every year at my show. Hopefully they're still alive.
You never know. You never know,
I
right?
mean, it's been
Yeah.
quite the year, but like, I mean, I do. I have a dedicated audience, and it's delightful. It's lovely
Oh,
to
that's
see people
wonderful.
year after year. So no, there definitely is. Um, there is. It's just it's not the same crowd who'd go to a comedy show necessarily, but
Yeah,
sometimes it is.
yeah,
But no, I've got my crowd. People are very loyal at the Fringe.
and that's
It's
cool.
kind of delightful because they sell your show for you. They like
Yeah.
tell people in lines to come to your show.
And they talk about it, and they've seen you before, so like, oh, she's great. Like, no matter what she's singing, type of thing. It's got to be nice. Do you think in your head you're like, okay, I want to give them something a little different? Is this one of those shows, or is this something it's like, no, this is in my wheelhouse. This is exactly like what I'm good at. I'm not reinventing the wheel with this show,
It's a
or is
yes and
it?
no. That's a
Yeah,
good question.
yeah.
It's yes and no because a lot of the shows I do are biography shows about historic people. So last time I was here. I did well last time there was a Fringe. I did a show about Deanna Durbin and Judy Garland. So
Okay.
I mean, it was Judy Garland and her rival Deanna Durbin. It was about that. I've done a show about Vera Lynn, Edith Piaf, Jacques Brel. So a lot of historic musical people. So this isn't about a person. This is about an event. So like I could say it's different. It's not that different. Um, like I could say I'm reinventing the wheel because it's not about a person, but it is about an event. Yeah, no, it's basically what I do. Like
Cool.
I can't pretend it's super out of my wheelhouse because it would be really fun to do something completely different,
Yeah.
but this sells and I gotta eat. Like
But at the same time, you're the creator of it too, right? So your self-awareness is always that hyper in tune. So you might not have the capacity to see something that you're doing different, or even like you said, like it's full of antiques. It's going to be, set in the 20s. And so there's so many different elements that allow you to play with them. You might not just be able to say it is vastly to people like, oh, that's the newest thing you've ever done. It's very, very, avant-garde. You're like, I thought I was just, riding that pony that I've always ridden. So who
I
knows,
mean,
right?
who knows? But like to be honest, most of the shows involve lost historic music instead of this. So like, I mean, maybe it's. I mean, what is kind of cool is like, yes, I ordered stuff off eBay and did all that, but I mean, there was I don't know, it's not a geocacher. It's like I don't know the name, some guy who goes around with a little metal detector and finds stuff. So there's, again, this was Facebook Marketplace, but he found all these old bottles in the River Valley in Edmonton,
Oh,
and
cool.
all my bottles are ones that he dug up, and I've Googled them because they're very specific looking bottles, and these are liquor bottles and a Javex bottle. Gotta remember, don't drink out of that. But from over 150 years ago, I mean, or 120 years ago. So
Oh,
these are actual
wow.
historic bottles, and one of them it's sealed with a cork, so not airtight, it's sealed with a cork and still has alcohol in it.
What if
And I
there's
don't.
ghosts too? Like, what if there's ghosts
Oh, I'm
in it?
surely there's ghosts. Of course.
That's so cool. What if they sing?
I mean, then I can just sit back and have a nap. It'll be okay.
You're not like, oh, I'm going to sing with them. You're like, no, I'm going to take some time off.
Oh yeah, right. I can
Yeah,
sing with them.
exactly.
I
Yeah,
forgot. Yes,
yeah,
other
yeah.
people.
There you go. Oh, that's a choral ensemble. Did you know that the River Valley, probably where he found them, that's where people used to dump their garbage. And if you go down in the River Valley from the river, because I've paddled it a lot, you can actually see a Model T chassis sticking out of the side of the River Valley.
Seriously?
Yeah,
No, I didn't
yeah,
know that.
yeah.
People would just throw it.
Oh
Throw
yeah,
their
it was
own
it was a
cars
like
down?
down by where the high level bridge in between I think there's like a brick building that's a power station in
Uh-huh.
between there and there. That whole area used to be a dump, and there's like car parts and old car parts. There's always tires along the river, no matter where you go in any country, I'm sure.
Right.
But no, yeah, but down there it used to be one of the first Edmonton dumps. So
What about drinking water?
in the river.
I mean,
You
I don't
didn't?
know back in the day.
No. Oh, back in the
No,
day, back in
in
the
the
day,
day.
you didn't have like the massive pollutants that you have today, right? So
Had a
back then, you just
chassis
didn't.
from a car.
You just drank upstream. You didn't drink downstream, but that was mostly for spirochetes and beaver fever and stuff like that. You just wanted to avoid.
Yeah, I mean, don't want to get beaver fever.
No, you don't. And so if you were going to give me do you know what an elevator pitch is?
Obviously, like, I've been touring for 10 years around the Fringe. Yes, I do.
Could you please, you don't have one for the show?
One yet, but I'm going to make one up. I'll make one up.
Okay. So this will be the elevator pitch for a toast to Prohibition. Go ahead.
So this is a big musical party exploring the lost songs of American Prohibition the night before the 18th Amendment is repealed. So there's singing, there's definitely not dancing, and there's a lot of stories that'll make you a lot more interesting at parties.
Nice. It's like Titanic without all the death and happier drinking.
Oh, there's death. I mean, there's lots of stories. People died from drinking also.
No, that's a myth. That is a myth told by big pharmacy to make people. I guess you're right. People die from drinking all the time.
No, people totally. They went blind. They got this thing called, I forget what it's called. There was a name for these shakes that people got, like paralyzed.
God. Probably like, DTs.
I mean, so people died, but also, and they would get shot smuggling, but it's
that
trauma.
makes you die. Yeah, it's like one for me, one for the car. One for me, one for the car. Awesome. I'm going to put all the information of where the show is, the times, how people can get there. It's going to be at the bottom of this video. Is there anything I didn't cover that you would like to mention as sort of a final statement?
I don't know if alcohol is allowed in the venue, but if it is, that would be really fun to come and because there's lots of toasts. So I guess that's not a final statement. That's just me thinking to myself, but I got to find out if that's a thing. Because that would be the whole point of this, was it would just be like a big party with old songs that no one cared to remember anymore.
So call ahead to Cité if they will be selling beverages.
Oui, I mean, c'est français, alors il y a une chance. You never know. They might say yes.
Et c'est bon.
Ouais.
Este calice, hein?
Ouais.
Oh, sorry. The only thing I know are swear words. Petit peu. Je parle français petit peu. Petit peu.
C'est parfait.
Yeah!
Yay!
Mais oui! Alrighty. Thank you so much, Melanie. I'll have all the information. Looking forward to hearing about a toast to Prohibition. We're going to try to get a reviewer in there. If we can't, we'll probably have you back on talking about how it's going if we can. And yeah, thank you very much. Break both of your legs simultaneously on stage.
And thanks for inviting me into your lair.
Oh, no problem. It's the Snuggle Dungeon.
Well, that's more snuggles than I've gotten in a year and a half. So
there you go. I'll send you the bill. It's very expensive snuggles. They're from all over the world.
All right, then.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. And we don't have to go right now. Because I'll stop. Exactly. I'll stop right now, and then I'll just put our outro in. That's awesome. I have some of your information. If you want to send me your press release, that'd be rad, just because I have it your word or not.
Okay, but I do that. I will make one today, because since the Fringe said we weren't allowed to contact the press, I was like, fuck it, I'm not doing the work. But I will. It'll take like 10 minutes. I'll send you something. All I need are the dates. Like the dates and the times. The dates. Yeah. I should know those, so I will do that to you. Awesome. And I will stop the recording. Thank you.